Good afternoon, everyone. This is Vasu Deshpande from Easylib, EasyOne. Easylib stands for Entire Automation System for Libraries, and we provide the software for the libraries. And EasyOne is one application that's going to help you run your entire organization. So both of them are offered by Easylib Software Private Limited. We are a Bangalore-based company, and you can refer to our website, easylib.net. We have our contact details posted there. You should be able to reach anytime as you require. We started this company back in, about 25 years ago with the intention of giving the best software for the Indian market. Over the years, we are very thankful to you. Over 700 of the customers are using our product, despite the competition that has been all along, both from the free software as well as the paid software. And I'm very happy to state that nearly 700 customers have shown your trust that Easylib is something that they can rely on. And we are very thankful to you. Okay. So this the agenda for this webinar today is an analysis of the free software in the market. So is the free software really free? Let's analyze this question. Okay. First one. So is really software a free? So let's see what is the definition of a free software. So free software means you should be able to get the software for free. It's either hosted software or somebody gives it for free. Okay, so you are not paying any money to buy the software. So basically, you get the software in either in a downloadable link or in the CD format. Okay, so now let's see whether is the really the software is free and what else is there. So we'll go further down below and then analyze this. Let's see why this free matters over here. See, we definitely want to save money, correct? All of us, every organization wants to save money. Even both as individual as organization, you want to make sure that our resources are utilized where they are appropriate. So if something is available for free, obviously the question will be that, okay, why don't we try the free one out? Okay. So now, but the catch is free. The issue becomes if it is not free in the long run. Let's take an example. Somebody gifts you an elephant. Somebody gifts you an elephant and it's free. Do you like to take it? Just think about it. Okay. So not every free software is as expensive as a free elephant, but you can see the glimpse of that. Okay. Let's go further. All right. What do we mean by free? So that means no license fee. So does it mean that there is no effort that has gone over there in developing it? Because who will work for free? Would you like to work for free for a long time? No, right? Volunteer for maybe a day, week, month, and a few people volunteer for a long, long time. But 99.99% of the time have definitely the expenses that need to be maintained. So even if one person is ready to work for free and then develop something, there's an associated cost with, the computer will not be free. The electricity will not be free. The network is not free. So there are a lot of costs with that. So just because you are getting it for free doesn't mean that it's totally free by development. Somebody else is sponsoring that. Okay. So, but at the same time, you are not paying any license fee for that. How does it happen when somebody frees, develops it and then says that, okay, whatever I have developed it, I'm going to make it available for you. That is how things will get developed. Even in the library software and other software, usually somebody has sponsored that and they have spent crores of rupees to develop that. Okay. And they may be giving it for free. Couple of catch things that we need to worry about. They developed it as per their requirement. It doesn't mean that it meets your requirement. But that's still something that they are making it available. Okay, so now take an example of what is this free software. So, have you heard about this iceberg? So let's do a Google and then find out what is an iceberg over here. So, you all have seen that Titanic movie, right? You may have seen that Titanic movie over there. The ship went and hit an ice, right? So how can a small ice cause a lot of damage that big ship? You know, it is because of that iceberg. Iceberg is basically a tip of the ice which is visible at the top, but the real iceberg is down below. Only 10% is visible over here. So 90% is hidden over here. So when you buy any software that you are going to use at your organization, usually this portion is going to be free. Okay, only what you can see, the license cost may seem free or very, very, very less. But there are so many other things which are going to be costly or expensive. Let's see what are those things that you need to worry about. So you get the software. So next what you do, you got to implement it, right? So how do you implement the software? So you need a machine, server. Is that going to be free? No. So somebody needs to deploy that software. Is that going to be free? No. So you want some changes in the software. Is that going to be free? No. There is a customization. There are upgrades are there. And then as you use the software, obviously you need the support. So you need the support in using the software. Whenever you face any difficulties, how to use that. So a lot of these additional things that you would require while using this software. So they all are not free. Okay. So just like what we saw in the iceberg, right? This portion is free. The license cost is free. But there are so many things that the implementation cost, server maintenance cost, the server operating system upgrade cost, security cost. There is you need to have the 24/7 internet connectivity, good power supply. You need to invest regularly on the hardware upgrade. So running a software requires all of these which are not visible in the front. But, just because the software is offered for free doesn't mean that these all are going away. Okay. So what we suggest you look at it the holistic one. So let's go more in details about what are the kinds of hidden costs that you are seeing over here. So in the iceberg, right, we call this as all the hidden cost. Let's see. What is the implementation cost? So when you download a software, you need to deploy it on the machine, one of these machine. So it could be very simple, just like, you download Adobe Reader, its company is giving for free, you download it. So it's pretty simple, right? Very simple. Okay, you download it and you use it. But if you are deploying an enterprise software where your data is residing, right? When your data is residing, there is definitely the cost related to the database, the software, the installation, the environment has to be set up. If it is a Linux machine, you need to set up the Linux machine. If it is a Windows machine, you need to set up this Windows machine. Okay. Then it just doesn't stop over there. There are so many things that nobody suddenly tells you that you have to do it, but you got to do it. Let me take one example. When you deploy software, and then you take one of the machines sitting right here and then make that as a server. Software is deployed, everything is good, you are giving the access to the students. How many times you know that you got to close the open ports for security purpose? Because the software guy who is giving you the software for free doesn't tell that you need to close those ports. They don't tell that people can come and attack your network. But you are supposed to do that, because if you don't do that, your entire network is going to be at risk. But on the other hand, what is expected when you try to deploy an open source or a free software? You know everything about the environment is what is expected. So let's see who can do that. We will cover that in the next. Where it makes a sense to have a free software, we'll cover that. But initially, installation, there's the complexity. Environment has to be set up. There the dependency need to be taken care, right? And trial and error. Okay, so when I say why I'm saying trial and error. See, this open source as a free software, it's like a shifting sand. Some people like it. It's a free software. Some people get together, say, develop the software. After some time, that becomes outdated. Then what happens? Smoothly, these programs will go to the next one. Then what happens to the previous one? Let me take an example. You all have heard one software called ePrint, right? It's a very wonderful software that people thought for digital library. Now ePrint doesn't have any support, no development done. So what should happen to all the customers who are using the ePrint? That is just an example. Similarly, initially in the days of the library automation, there was CDS, ISIS. Then came WinISIS. People, they all keep shifting. There was something called Greenstone. So when any free software, right, people develop it, launch it. They are not obligated to keep it up to date. For example, when it's a paid software, right, whether it's a Microsoft, whether it's an Apple, we all have a commitment. We want to make sure that you use the software for decades together. Behind this providing the software, there are about 10, 100,000 people working, and the entire holistic system is built behind that brand. So when I take this Dell machine, Dell has built the entire infrastructure to support the customers. But when it comes to the open source software or a free software, that strength is not there. It is there to some extent, but it is like a shifting one. It keeps on shifting. Definitely. So that is one thing that you need to really watch. Next, the implementation delays before the go live. Suppose you deploy the software, you find issues. Who do you go to? Again, you got to call somebody, right? Just because the software is free, is it going to be available for free? Take an example. If you want to get an expert who is an open source expert or somebody who is in the grade E or grade C scientist, his daily cost itself is 5 to 10,000 rupees. So if you get him for a week, 50,000 rupees you got to spend on 1 week alone. For that 50,000 rupees, you can get some paid software where the vendor is more than happy to provide you the support, including the hosting and all that. So again, coming back to this iceberg, this is an implementation is something that you really need to watch. Next, time spent is equal to real money spent. Why I'm specifically saying so? I have seen so many installations where the free software installation for the library management goes for months together. In one university, I saw that implementation is going for 9 months. In Easylib, it's not more than 9 days. Why? Because behind Easylib, there is a company, Easylib company. We want to do the things fast. But when you go with something like which is a free software, that push is going to be missing. And you want that professional push, again, you got to pay. So what is the meaning of the free software? Right? This is something to be. Let's go to the next, the second hidden cost. Skilled manpower. What do we mean by skilled manpower? This is something you really need to watch. When you try to deploy free software, right? There are people who have deployed that software on their machine, learned by hand experience. So their charges, somebody may be ready to offer for free, somebody may be ready to offer it for 10,000 rupees a week, 50,000 rupees a week, or 1 lakh rupees a week. Now, those all people are charging as per their expertise on that free software. But now, if you get something who is, let's say, charging only about 1,000 rupees per week, what is the guarantee that he is skilled enough? So software is something which is going to be used for decades together, not like 1 day, 2 day. It's not just one software, okay? You download the software, you complete that work, deploy, complete it, move on. It's not like, say, for example, you want to prepare a tax filing. You download one software, prepare your tax return, and then complete it. That year's work is over. But in case of the software for your college, library, organization, once the data is fed, it's going to be there for decades together. I know I am very happy that we have a few customers who are more than 25 years old software with Easylib software. All their data is there for 25 years. It is there. Right? So now when it comes to the free software, there is going to be a cost to get the skilled power people. Free software doesn't mean that everybody who knows this is all freely offering. No, they don't offer it for free. So you got to be worried about who is going to offer you the services. Experienced, skilled administrator, how much it is going to cost. Next, key person dependency risk. I'll tell you what happened. This is one big college, engineering stage. We went there, we gave a demo. We quoted certain price. Then, for whatever reason, they said, okay, we will go with the free software. They had that free software. The concerned person deployed the software. They used it for maybe a year or two. I don't know how long they used, how was the satisfaction, I am not sure. Then that person joined other organization. This was a private organization, big college. He joined a government organization for a better remuneration. Now you know what happened? For next 2 years, that entire college was doing the manual operation because that key person was no longer there and there was no sufficient second line of the person who could provide the support. Now imagine how much loss you have undergone. You have done the automation, but it's of no use. All the 2 years data is all stuck. Again, you are back to manual. So these kind of issues you face. Simply think you can remember one thing. Free software means the cost is going to be shifted to your in-house resources. If it is a paid software you get, because in your contract you have the support contract there, right? They will provide the support for a certain cost. When you try to deploy this free software on your own, you are taking that responsibility and you need to make sure that there are sufficient people in your organization who are skilled enough and allocating that software. Say for example, if you deploy free software, you dedicate one person to manage that. And even at a nominal salary of, let's say, 30,000 rupees, you are spending 3,60,000 rupees, 1,000 rupees per year. It's a huge cost. You can get many softwares, at that price, the paid software. All right. What is the third hidden cost? See, when it is a free software, the priority of what is to be developed in the free software is dependent on the sponsor. Well, I have invested, I have written a software, I want to give it for free, I am giving it. But if I don't give something extra, nobody can say and demand, say that, oh, you gave me this last year, why are you not giving extra things this year? Because I am not obligated, right? That's what the free software person will think. But on the other hand, the commercial software, right? They are, for the purpose of competition, they're always there in the head. They compete. That is the reason I have a next slide that compares, open free software versus the real one. The commercial one. Commercial organizations are bound by their existence. They got to innovate. They got to do better. So they will always do the additional features. They'll work hard. They'll make sure that there is enough customization ability. You take care of the integration. All of these are done. Right. So when you deploy a software, you got to have multiple software, like there's a complete ERP, admission, attendance, student information, staff exam. There's a learning management system. Then there is a payment gateway. Then there are old systems like, legacy system. And then you may want some extra changes in what you want. So even though one piece of the software may be free, there are some 10 other things that the software need to work with. So these all will cost you money. In case of a paid software, the vendor definitely says that, okay, I will give everything for included. But on the other hand, when there is a company or when you get a free software, it's all your responsibility and you got to spend money for every small thing. So that's the customization and integration. Fourth cost. Okay, so when you have difficulty in using the free software, because you have now told your management it's free, no? And you go and ask for the management for money, they'll say, you told for free. Now, why are you asking money? So as a librarian or as an administrator of a college, when you promote a free software, you are binding your hands, saying that it's going to be for free forever. So when you go for money, when you go to the management to ask the money, then definitely the first question they ask is, it's supposed to be free, why are you asking money? Then the entire responsibility of making sure that the software runs smooth comes on you. And if there is an error, nobody is going to thank you for saving about 50,000 rupees. They will all ask that person in the critical moment of the NAC audit or the NBA audit when something was written, why this software was not functional. So that is what you hear it many times. So when the college, take an example of a college, 1,000 students. What is the annual fee for a student? 10,000 rupees if you take 1,000 students, 10,000 rupees and 1,000, 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 1 crore. 1 crore rupees for 10,000 fees, right? So now, is there 2,000? And many colleges have more higher fees. It's not 10,000, it's about 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 rupees. Some of the schools even charge about 1.5 lakh. So, for a college or a school, when the entire, including the manpower cost, the salaries and everything, if the entire outlay is about, let's say, 1 crore to 5 crore rupees, and if the paid software costs you 50,000 rupees, for the management, 50,000 is a doable thing. Because that free software, all these hidden things, right, will make the risk come to you. So that is why you got to be very careful if the free software is really free. Because you got the cost of implementation, cost of skilled manpower, cost of automation, and then you are taking the risk of the support of yourself. And there is no accountability. Because if when that particular college, when the person went off, if it was a vendor software, they would have simply called the vendor and say that, okay, that particular person has gone. We need the software to be, we need some help. Can you give? The vendor will come and run and then give you the support. But when it is a free software, there is no accountability. What happens? The downtime goes on. So overall, the quality will keep reducing. When the students are waiting in the line and the software is not opening, that hurts, right? It hurts in your reputation. And it puts the person who is in charge, who has, by good heart, he has proposed a free software, will now be looked at something, okay, why did he propose that? So you have to really be careful with that. Next, hidden costs. I can keep going about this. These are all the factors that we have collected, not in the bias of the paid software, but free softwares really have these costs. You can definitely do Google, you can study the cases, you will find out. These are all the truth. When a free software is there and there is an upgrade, what do? Again, you got to spend the money on upgrade. When there is some customization done, again, you got to redo the customization. Is the management going to pay money for customization again? And the security patches. When there is a security patch to be applied, the free software vendor will say, okay, please apply this free patch. That's all. That's all the responsibility. But actually going and applying is your responsibility. So that means instead of the person who is using the software, the person who has deployed the software, just because of it is a free one, becomes a system admin, forgetting his own core role over there. So that's a high risk. So that's related to security. Now, compliance responsibility stays in trust. It's a very crucial thing. There is something called GDPR, General Data Protection Rules, as per the UK. Now, some of the rules state that the date of birth column in your database must be encrypted. So when you download a free software, in the previous version, it was not encrypted. Now, who is going to put the effort to make it encrypted? Okay. There are some more things. It says that, okay, whenever somebody sees the information of a student, like his name, address, phone number, email, and all that, that is a sensitive information and the log must be maintained. If the free software doesn't have that, how will you track this? The paid software will because it's a compliance requirement, he will make sure that that compliance is met. But in case of a free software, the entire responsibility of compliance belongs to that person who has deployed your own in-house resource. So when you look at all these things, right? Implementation, skill manpower, customization, support risk, upgrades, and all these things will make you think whether a free software is really a free one. It may be free to begin, but it will be more expensive to think at it. So you got to be very, very, very careful. Now let's look at another thing. Worldwide, what's happening? Okay, so worldwide trend, what is happening is. So open your machine. See how many paid software you have, how many open source software you have. I wish I could take a survey here. How many of you are logging on from Linux machine? How many are from Windows machine? 99% of the people who I have seen in the colleges, libraries, everywhere are on Windows machine. Windows is a paid machine. Windows is a paid software. Linux is a free software. Why are you not using the Linux free software? It was free, was so good, people would have jumped onto it. Why they have not done? Because there is some things that are not as easy as in a paid software. When you pay about 3,000 rupees for Windows license for Microsoft, you are sure that, okay, this is what I am going to see, and Microsoft will take care of my machine. When you have Linux, again, Linux is not bad, but just requires a little bit of extra thing to be taken care of. Okay, so this is Windows example. Similarly, iPhone is there. iPhone runs on Apple software. And definitely, even if you go with the Linux, multiple people have come up with a multiple version. And they all charge based on the additional things that they provide. So ultimately, nothing is free there. Somewhere somebody is going to charge you the money. Somewhere there will be charges. Okay. Let's take a few examples of the paid versus software. So desktop OS we saw Linux versus Windows. 80% of the machine worldwide are Windows, paid software. Office. How many are using the Microsoft Office versus LibreOffice and other free software? Many of you are using the Microsoft Office and you are paying for it. Knowingly or unknowingly, you are paying. And unfortunately, some of them may be using this pirated also. Because Microsoft has put enough environment that makes person feel happy to pay certain money to use the Microsoft software, even though there are free alternatives. Next, CRM, Salesforce is a paid software. There could be other free software, right? But Salesforce is dominating 90% market share. Let's take this email. Many of you are using the Gmail. So Gmail is provided by the vendor. And they are not charging you directly money, but they are charging through the search engine. Because there is a search engine sponsor, they get the money. Now, if you really wanted to go with a free one, why are you not deploying your own email server? Something to be thought through, right? Why you are not doing that? It's more cumbersome to deploy the email software on a server. You got to set up the server, you got to set up this email software, even if it is Linux, do everything, then you will have, okay, your ID at your domain.com. Instead of that, you pay about 150 rupees or 165 rupees to either Microsoft or Google, get your email ID, your name at your domain.com, simply by paying about 2,000 rupees per year for either Google or Microsoft. As simple as that. So when somebody is selling for paid version, they are giving you more value than the money they collected. It's a vendor and the buyer. It's a partner relationship. So when one organization pays the money to a vendor, you're basically adding value. And they are buying something from you in turn. So definitely, if everything was supposed to be free, the entire economy will not be running the way it is, right? We all trust each other. I buy this Apple, Macintosh, I trust Apple. I go outside and book a cab. I trust Uber that, okay, Uber will send me a vehicle. When I sit in the car, I trust Maruti that Maruti has given me a good vehicle which will take me from point A to point B. When I sit there, that I trust the driver is going to safely drive. The world works based on the trust. And free, sometimes, it's a misnomer. So, free software may be free. It's all free. People can download, right? But paid software, high accountability and revenue. That is one important. Very high accountability because whenever you need help, you can rely on someone. That is the paid software. Okay. All right. When is the free software is free? Let's take an example. You are bound to have a free software. So you need to have a strong technical team to buy it. You need to have enough money to buy a server. You need to have enough money to put all air condition, all these things, you got to put it. 24/7 internet connection, dual power supply, high-end servers, regular upgrade to the server, regular upgrade to the operating system, plus 1 or 2 people to maintain that server throughout the year. So when you are ready to spend that kind of money, you can save about 50,000 rupees by buying a free software. But now you are spending about maybe 70, 80 lakhs on all these things, or maybe at least 10 lakhs on all these things, internal things, just to save about 50,000 rupees. But technically, if you really want to have a free one, yeah, as long as if you have that strong technical team in place, free software may be okay. Non-critical systems, if you don't have that, system will become non-critical because you cannot trust free software if you don't have enough support during the critical times. Then, if you want to try it out, you want to learn something experimental, okay, free software. Clear ownership documentation. If you have some 4 or 5 people you are using this, okay, for free something, that is okay. So in other words, free is okay when you okay to use it. It's a non-critical thing. At that time, it's okay. Or somebody else is taking care of this cost. But when it is in the production environment, when you really need the software to work, it always makes a sense to go with the paid software. Paid software, paid ones, everything is paid. Always, when you have somebody helping you, giving you a shoulder, right? That gives you a lot of confidence. Okay. So now, when is the paid software? Pay first choice. Mission critical application. You all have heard SAP. SAP is an enterprise resource planning software, paid software. That's about minimum is about 50 lakh rupees license. Companies spend crores of rupees. 3% of the revenue companies spend on the IT. So that means if your organization, including all the salary, building, everything cost, has a cost of let's say about 1 crore, you should be able to spend about 3 lakh rupees per year on the software. And many companies do that. So mission critical applications, you paid one. Phone Pay is paid. This they are not charging you, but they are definitely private companies like Phone Pay, Google Pay, Uber, everybody. All so mission critical. When you're waiting over there, when you need to reach office in about 30 minutes, and every minute is critical, you trust Uber, Ola that okay, it's going to book the cab. And Ola, Uber is going to run. The driver may take a few minutes extra, but the software is running smooth. Why? Because there is a company standing behind that. Compliance and heavy requirement. That's very important. When something needs to be done, say for example, if the government of India comes up with a compliance saying that every ride sharing company must track, the travel details for a certain number of days. Only changes will be done by Uber or Ola. But is a free software, whatever you deploy on machine, you are supposed to do those changes. So that's the problem. And limited IT manpower, that is very important. When you are running an institution, when you are running a library, your focus is for the library, right? Or for the college is to make sure that it runs smooth. You are not a system administrator to take care of the basic things when you are a librarian. As a librarian, your goals are how can I provide the best service to my student? How can I automate so many things which will make my library stand apart, stand ahead? Which software I use, it's up to me, right? So it always makes a sense to allocate some budget, get a paid software because they will take care of all the IT manpower, server, backups, and all those things. Long-term institutional system. I know some companies running IBM software for more than 70 years. International business machines, huge mainframe systems are running. The way when we go to bank, any bank and withdraw the money, most likely one or the other mainframe systems are being touched. Again, that's a private one. Predictability, accountability, peace of mind. When you want it, please spend some money upfront and get a peace of mind. So the right question to ask is, don't ask is the software free? You should ask, what is the 5-year cost of running the software, including the cost of the software, risk, time, people, and all these, implementation cost, all those things I went through, right? What is the cost of implementation? What is the cost of support? What is the cost of customization? What is the cost of what are the risks that you are mitigating? And how are you providing the upgrades and the security? All the 6 items you need to remember when you are calculating the cost. And that too calculated for 5 years. But just because the entry level software is free doesn't mean that rest of the things are all free. It's like a balloon effect. Initially it enters, then there are huge, you keep on spending money. So instead of that, do a calculation. When I go with this paid software for 5 years, what am I going to spend? Of course, other things, functionality, the user training, the support, all that's another evaluation. But when you're only evaluating the cost, make sure that you do a 5-year integrated cost analysis. So in other words, free software may seem free, but it is not. Paid software expects that you spend money now, but in the long run, a 5-year horizon, usually paid softwares are less expensive, even though you spend money, because you save money, you save time, you get a lot more convenience. There is somebody ownership, somebody else is taking care of it. They are taking care of the risk, and it's a sustainable one for the long time. Okay. So one thing that you want to remember is that the most expensive software sometimes is the one where the cost itself is hidden. It may be sound like a free one. The most expensive software is the one where the cost is hidden. Okay. So my take, evaluate 5 years cost, then decide what you want. Obviously, being from Easylib, I have personally analyzed at so many places what is the cost of running a free software for your library versus Easylib. And very clearly, the cost of running Easylib is much less. We'll be happy to show you the detailed demo in much more details. And when you need to reach me, I'll type my if you go to our website, you will see our contact details. Okay, and reach us anytime. So easylib.net is our website. We have got the software for the colleges. We have got the software for the library. We have got the software for inventory management, sales desk, service desk, so many things. We have developed everything, and you should be able to use this, and you can reach us anytime as you require. And let me type my contact details here. You can reach me anytime. Sudesh Pandey, 97422046224, and my email ID is vasusendi@easylib.net. Okay, that's about it. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll be happy to take any questions you may have.